Yeah. How's it going? Ooh, that's my tweet. How's it going? Well, no. Guys, let me know how the mic is. It might be a little hot. I'm peeking there. Damn it. I was changing around my settings here. Oh, I don't want to do. Should have probably tested this beforehand. Well, I was testing it last night, but it's something. But couldn't quite get it right. Hard to do it until you're actually in it. But welcome to the Scarred Thumb Podcast. Have gamers gone soft? This is kind of an interesting question because they weren't really all that hard to begin with, let's be honest. It was a nerdy group of guys, but let's look at ads. This is video game ads. We'll start off looking at some of these classic ads from sort of early 2000s. So this is Katana. Anyone remember that? John Romero, man. He was known for going around with like a... I think he had like a Ferrari or something, some sort of car. Or maybe that was John Carmack that gave away his Ferrari. I could be thinking of something else. But yeah, Katana didn't get well. I'm not going to read this out because of YouTube, and it's pretty early on. But kind of an interesting ad. Very aggressive. Nowadays that would kind of seem like maybe it's, that might be a little, a little bit off-putting. And then, of course, so many of these early ads had women in it. Seriously distracting, kind of implying that he'd rather be playing Game Boy than keeping this lady company. And then, of course, are you sure you want me to wear this? Oh, an advertisement for Tomb Raider 3, which just came out with its remastered. Dressed up as Lara Croft there. Like, clearly happy to see her. This is inappropriate by today's standards for a different reason. As we can see, Donkey Kong Land here. Advertised for the Game Boy. That's actually a Nintendo ad, by the way. Kind of odd to see. This isn't inappropriate, but it's kind of cool. Death has never been faster. Guy with a cool car. Eidos had some pretty cool ads back in the day. Of course, another one that's kind of implying women in bathing suits. There's another Nintendo ad. Susan, yeah. And there's oh, I love this one. I remember he couldn't keep his hands off me. It's a guy he's really enjoying that video game. Seems to be a very common thing. Game Boy more fun than a ferret down your trousers. I do like this isn't necessarily, sexual at all, but I do like the idea, like, oh, there's Spyro, Crash, Bandicoot, Sonic. It's like Taz, the Tasmanian tiger. Or, sorry, Ty. I can't even remember his name. That's how bad it ended up doing. Like, kind of taking pot shots at your competition. There's definitely a masculine energy in these advertisements. Oh, man. Size doesn't matter. One of the most complex fishing games to date. Even the fishing games were getting in on it. My goodness. I like this. I just like this because please get the guys who made cartridge games a cigarette and a blindfold. Like Final Fantasy VII is going to destroy it. 20 years later, I don't think disc games really came out on top. I don't know. For a while there, it looked like a thing, but now even they're going away, as games can't hold the 500 gigabytes that modern games are now on. But let's move on. We're talking about that was the old era. Now we have this. You see, the new Tomb Raider remastered came with a warning label that says this game is a collection and contains offensive depictions of peoples and cultures rooted in racial and ethnic prejudices. These stereotypes are deeply harmful and inexcusable and do not align with our values at Crystal Dynamics. Rather than remove this content, we have chosen to present it here in its original form, unaltered, in the hopes that we may acknowledge its harmful impact and learn from it. Well, somebody thought, you know what, this thing is pretty annoying. This little screen at the beginning, kind of their Crystal Dynamics' little struggle session here as they release a popular remastered. Which, by the way, this remastered, like the last time I heard it, sold like 1.8 million. So people really like it. Someone decided to make a mod to remove this, remove misinformation warning. Which, you know what? To be fair to Nexus Mods, why label it like this? Remove misinformation warning. Mod removes Crystal Dynamics' incorrect message about the game supposedly being offensive. If you felt offended by the warning, this mod is for you. Yeah, see, that seems like a little bit, how do I say it, like confrontational? Like, why not just label this like intro, remove intro, or something like that? Remove intro message. Like, then this helps speed you up by removing annoying intro message, or like intro message that you see every time. That might have been able to slip through. So, in some ways, like, Nexus Mods is clearly lame for removing this mod because people didn't want to see this stupid message. But at the same time, maybe try to be a little smarter about how you label these things. Like, it doesn't need to be confrontational every time. Like, this is, I think, where people get in trouble with this kind of stuff. But clearly Nexus Mods has an issue of doing this. And of course, last week we went over this one. Game Banana removed this busty Yukari mod, which is, enhanced model on one of the female characters. And then, of course, they said that... no, wait, I don't think I have... No, wait, I think it was... No. What the heck? Did I lose it? I guess I might have lost it. Oh, well. And then, of course, Game Banana said, it's sexualizing a minor kind of crap, which they were clearly proven that, the game is... the game has stuff like this. It's a Japanese anime game. Kind of goes with the theme of the game itself. And they pointed out several Genshin Impact mods that are still on Game Banana that clearly violate their own policy. It just comes with the territory, guys. Comes with the territory. And then someone mentioned this render here, Lara Croft. This is the remastered Lara Croft back in form. Peak form here. I really hope this was... Though I bookmarked this because of the quote. I really hope this is a sign the pendulum is slowly swinging back. I don't think it's swinging back, guys. Like, you can't remove women from the video game industry now. And that's what it would take for the pendulum to swing back. Even though, like I said, this did very well. And maybe if they want money, they will bring this back. But I don't see it happening. This is actually, though, the topic today kind of leads into this, which I saw from, this is from PC Gamer by Joshua Woolens. Deep Rock Galactic auto shooter nixes upsetting "Die Like Your Mother Did" voice line so as to not remind some players of tragic events in their life. And this is the thing that, like, what the hell? See, the dwarf-themed Vampire Survivors is yanking out one of its most questionable voice lines at patch notes for the game's something hotfix. Release Tuesday. The gang at Funimation announced they'll be nixing the "Die Like Your Mother Did" line that the dwarves sometimes shout as they mow down enemies. Which, kind of a cool line, in my opinion. Kind of shows their sort of irreverence and their kind of harshness. They're supposed to be dwarves, kind of gruff. That's what you kind of get when you picture a dwarf, It's kind of like Gimli from Lord of the Rings, he's a bit rude, a bit gruff, doesn't mince words. So something like this really kind of fits in with that theme of Deep Rock Galactic, which is about dwarves going through mines, surviving. But some people decided to remove it. You got to admit, the line is oddly specific for a generic bark your dwarves. And this guy is, what is he doing? Reactions were as you'd probably expect, are split. On one hand, some players are pointing out the line's continued presence in the standard GID suggests mountains being made out of molehill. One comment on the PC Gamer subreddit user said the original still has this line, had it for years without any issue whatsoever. Others disagree. I do think a toggle would be better than outright removal, but I understand the angle. It's always been the most out-of-pocket line. Going from that spacey meatball to die like your mother did is a pretty sharp shift. Sharper still if you've recently lost a loved one. Oh, but this is retarded, honestly. And there's another example of these sort of like little things that get removed slowly, and then you just end up with some, like, rather than having a sort of a nice harshness to it, some sort of masculinity, it just comes like, oh, it's goofy dwarf guys goofing around in the goof zone, rather than, you know, a survival game, some harshness to it, some stakes. It just doesn't hit the same. And we'll be talking about Helldivers 2 very soon. And then this was a big thing. Came out today, the demo and some and some video of the new Final Fantasy Rebirth. This includes, you know, a swimsuit kind of area where Aerith and Tifa. I've seen that a million times over my timeline. They're trying to come back. Where this is an Apex Legends skin on the right here with Aerith, and of course the original, looking very beautiful. And you have guys like this.
And on top of there being no protection at all, practical is this female.
How practical is this female fantasy armor? That's what everyone wanted to know. And this is kind of, I think, an invent of the social media era. Because back in college, when like you talk to other people, maybe even in forums, I don't know if it was that different. I kind of maybe just sort of starting the seeds were being planted. But like, you talk to like another guy, like how it's so impractical. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm too busy looking at her giant tits to give a shit about whether the fantasy armor is practical or not. Like, I don't care. Like, everyone, that's the thing. Like, normal people know that it's not about the armor. Like, no one cares about the armor. It's about her looking sexy in
male fantasy armor. What are we doing here? Using the color of the trim.
We're appealing to male. And then, oh, you got a little skirt. Even this is more modest, but it's got a little skirt. It looks feminine. Got high. Oh, they complains about the high heels.
But waistline, there's also high heels.
Oh no, high heels. Look out. Yep. Oh, still crop top. Ooh.
So that can't become.
And look, wow, great. Guys like this, kind of. It's just so weird because you understood, like, that you were a social outcast if you played video games back in the day, but you didn't argue to make video games worse for yourself because of it, because you know you're already getting made fun of for playing video games. So it's like, who cares? Like, this is ours, it's mine. I don't care if, you know, some of this stuff looks kind of awkward to the public eye, because the public already didn't enjoy video games to begin with. But now that they're mainstream, now you get to this kind of stuff where it's like, oh, time to virtue signal about how progressive I am, you know, how understanding I am, how much I hate this stuff. How much I hate women. And then, of course, this is what I'm talking about. Tifa. Back in form. People criticize I still don't think her breasts are big enough, but people are pretty happy with this. She's looking good. Her and Aerith looking good. And like, people, oh, is this that they've been removed? Or has they been bought back? Because originally it was a big deal for some people that this was that they had kind of nerfed her size from what they think the original was, which are probably right. Though I think this is kind of in line proportion with a Japanese woman. So who gives a shit about reality? We're here for enhanced reality here, fantasy. So the more the merrier. And this was related to Helldivers. Satire. A satire on how hecking bad fascism is. And then, shut up, nerd. This is a very, very smart post by this. And this is a Helldivers Alerts, a gimmick account, who Don't be a fascist. Oh my gosh. The game's satire, guys. Did you not know this? You should not genuinely reciprocating approval of conquest, genocide, and oh god, this is so should be placed in something greater. Kindness and morality. This is so oh god. What is wrong with these people? Don't be cringe, chew just to think. Yeah, don't be cringe. This guy needs to take his own advice. And this was a big debate that was last week where people are saying, oh, is Star Trek Troopers satire? Other people's called it parody because, and like Helldivers is kind of the same way. That I think the point they're making is that, you know, satire makes fun of something. You know, it like mocks it. But Star Trek Troopers and Helldivers kind of makes this looks really cool. Kind of makes fascism look pretty awesome, as these players are. You know, you're going in, you're killing bugs, you're defending your planet. You have, you know, clean streets, order in the world, and you defend it from an outside force that is trying to destroy your way of life. And of course, you know, underneath it, they do the satire like they're very expendable. That, you know, there might not that people might not care about these troops, but at the same time, you never get that impression. They do a really good job of kind of keeping the power fantasy, because it's a very important part of the game is that you feel like you're a badass when you're fighting like these hordes and hordes of enemies. So they never go too far to like mock the sacrifice that the sort of Helldivers make. They're always kind of delivers those lines with pretty much sincerity, which is, I think, really good on the part of the Helldivers and the world they make, that the Helldivers are, in fact, you know, considered heroes, even though they're sort of part of this militaristic force. And I think that's also kind of where Star Trek Troopers kind of falls apart, because, like, I think these guys are awesome. Like, they're really cool. Like, they're bad. They're the bad guys, or secretly the bad guys. It just doesn't seem that way. And then, oh God, this was just, sometimes I struggle to start. I had to check if this was a parody account. I don't think it is. So I finally got to play the Helldivers tutorial. It's hilarious that there are people who take the game seriously. It's a reflection of their moral worldview. Again, it's like wrestling. People are like, oh, wrestling's fake. You know wrestling's fake, right? Like, yeah, we know. We just enjoy it. Get over it. And then talking about, I struggle to start playing since you basically play as colonizers, and that doesn't feel right when I have a Palestinian friend. Oh, boy. Absolute mental. Well, I mean, you see the flag, so. Let's move on. Guys, talked about Suicide Squad a bit. Talking about Helldivers. Damn, I'm still peeking. God damn it. I don't know. I'm not sure. If you guys, let me know if the thing's too loud. Anyway, let's talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It has fallen short of our expectations, Warner says. Has a massive hits with Hogwarts Legacy in February 2023, but February 2024 is something entirely else. Uh-oh. Warner Brothers Discovery says sales of the superhero looter shooter did not meet the company's expectations as a shortfall. That's put the company Game Division on track for a rough first quarter. Hogwarts Legacy did really well. Suicide Squad is not doing well. I shared some of the Steam charts where the peak concurrent player count for the past 24 hours, according to Steam chart, was, wow, it's getting worse. 888. Like before, it was like peaking like almost 2,000s, and then like below 1,000. For the peak to be under 1,000, yikes! This is awful. Let's see, and then that goes on to check Steam last epoch doing 194, Pal World 338,000, Helldivers 423,000 players. Suicide Squad is not doing well. Uh-oh. Oh no, $70 game does bad. I'm so sad about that. The looter shooter, not doing well. And this is a live service game, so it needs, who knows? Now, I think at this point, it's like, how quickly will it shut down? Because 888 players for a live service game, assuming you have like a decent team on it, and considering the money was probably put into it, ooh, that is not, I can't see Warner Brothers greenlighting that much money to be made to keep supporting it. If this is the total count, awful. So, Suicide Squad, not doing well. I think, yeah. We'll have to take over under until how quickly it'll shut down. My guess will be April. Suicide Squad shut down. But we'll see. Now, this isn't the only AAA game live service that hasn't been doing too well. Let's take a look at this. Skull and Crossbones. Yeah, see, my mic is not doing. I thought I had a. Give me 1 second, guys. I thought I had some prop. Let me just do a little bit of. I thought I had a noise gate on this. I do have a noise gate. Oh, man. This is going to annoy me. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. I need to do a little bit of customizing here. My people are complaining my stuff was low last time, but this time it's not even. There we go. There we go. This should help. Let me just do. Let me bring this up. All right. I think I'm good now. I think this looks like good levels. All right. So, Skull and Bones has yet to reach 1 million players, even with its free trial report. This is from GameSpot by Evan Campbell. Talking about has only seen about 850,000 players, which seems total. Oh, sorry, total since launching last week. That's not necessarily good, and that number includes a free trial users. Yikes. You're letting people try it for free, and it's not getting that. And Skull and Bones, I saw a lot of like bad press on it, where like certain things people were kind of pissed off about, where the original Assassin's Creed Black Flag looked better or like had better gameplay, and people were very upset. Like something like when you're supposed to board a ship rather than your pirate going on and fighting, it was just some sequence, some movie sequence. And of course, Skull and Bones was $70. Live service titles that cost $70. Internally, one reason to toss around for the low player base is the retail price for Skull and Bones. According to Insider Gaming, one source really said the pirate game should have been more than $30 to $40. Well, that guy might be right on the money, because you look at Power World, you look at Helldivers, 30 and 40 respectively. Huge hits, massive hits. And especially for a live service, like, why make the cost $70? How much do you believe in your game if you have to charge $70 for a live service game that you're supposedly going to be getting more players like pay for stuff over the year, like sort of like long term become part of the game? $70, and a lot of these things like Genshin Impact are free to play. They say, hey, don't pay anything, just play, and then, well, they kind of get your money as you play it, and they've been incredibly successful. But $70 for a game that's going to ask you for more money almost right off the rip is insane. But so Skull and Bones might not be doing, along with Suicide Squad here, may not be doing too good. The $70 live service game, it looks like the audience, gaming fans, gamers, if you will, rejecting it wholesale. And then, guys, I have such bad news. Oh, no, this is such bad news. Eurogamer. This is by Tom Phillis. I was looking forward to the new Crazy Taxi game when I saw it announced. Oh, I loved Crazy Taxi, the original Crazy Taxi. Kind of a fun arcade game, Really fun to play. Had that arcade style that was, it's kind of fresh, kind of a fresh arcade style. Well, turns out the new Crazy Taxi game is going to be AAA in scope. And even worse, guys, it is going to be games as a service. I don't know if they have this uh, particularly, but the guy mentioned making its long-awaited announcement according to Japanese Times. Shit on the scope. Let me see if this actually brings this up. Pandemic banner here. The game will continue to expand on a global scale. Original transport. We decided to set up a new base structure in order to secure a stable development structure. Let's see. Where did he go on to talk about Crazy Taxi here? It boggles my mind. We're also participating in the development of AAA titles, including Crazy Taxi, a recently announced reboot to the arcade classic. He doesn't, I don't know if he mentions it. That's going to be games as a service, but it is going to be games as a service. And I think they did mention that there's going to have to be a remake or remastered of it, I hope, of the original Crazy Taxi, though. I was hoping for like a new game, not necessarily like, oh, here's an old game that's been remastered for like the 100th time. That's what people are doing. I got Metroid Prime remastered. They're actually remastering like The Last of Us. That game isn't even that old. It's insane to see all these remastered. Why not reimagine it a little bit? Can Sega not make games anymore? I guess it does really mention it here, but the new Crazy Taxi will be games as a service, AAA, just the absolute worst things you can make a game. So disappointing to see. I'm calling it right now. I think it's going to flop, but we'll see. We'll see if Sega can pull it off. And I think Jet Set Radio, which I never really played, but I know has a lot of fans, might be going down the same path, which is feel bad for people, for fans of this game. I was looking forward to it until I see something like this. Now it's kind of it's probably going to be crap, but I'll keep an open mind just in case it looks good. Right now, it's dead to me. Second I see AAA or games as a service, it's dead to me. But hey, good news. Suika game. Everyone that was a really fun game. This got recently announced in Nintendo's partner thing, but they're actually added a verse mode to Suika game. So the sort of fun, cute little puzzle game that spawned a million knockoffs now has a versus mode that you can play with other players. Pretty cool. And some other good news. From Software teases the future Armored Core game. Armored Core, baby. I loved Armored Core 6. Really fun game. Recently, they announced Elden Ring's new DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree. Ooh. But also Miyazaki kind of mentioned that they were looking forward to. This is from Game Rant by Dominique Boshanak. Was, I guess, Game Rant Russian or something? I don't know. Anyway, I think Armored Core 6 was a success. On the other hand, not everything was perfect. There's still room for improvement, which is, hey, cool. I loved Armored Core 6. But yeah, I think there is some stuff that they could definitely improve, like the weapon balance, and I think some of the missions could have been a little bit tighter. But still, a really fun game, and I hope they kind of keep that sort of fast-paced, flying around the map, killing stuff feel to it. So I'm determined not to stop there. However, nothing specific has been decided yet. So Miyazaki, he wants to, the sort of genius behind Elden Ring and the Souls games, doesn't want to stop at Armored Core 6. And there, of course, they mentioned the 10-year gap between Verdict Day and Fires of Rubicon. Hopefully it won't be a 10-year gap, but hopefully we'll be seeing a sequel to this very soon. Maybe in a few years. Definitely look forward to that. I don't know if there's any sort of DLC plan for Armored Core 6, but definitely looking forward to seeing what Fires of Rubicon, just awesome game. Love the presentation. Really recommend it. I think it's kind of going on sale now, kind of reaching that point. Just a fun, like, fast-paced game. Really like the mission system. Kind of a good palate cleanser if you've been playing sort of long-paced games that sort of demand like repetitive gameplay loops. Having a mission system that just feels different, feels really good. Moving on, Nintendo. This was from an article. It's all in Japanese, so I'm taking PC Focus's word for it. Nintendo is now the richest company in Japan with over 11 billion. It said Toyota is value. Ooh, Nintendo is the 13th richest market cap. Must define richest in a very specific way. So this might even be wrong, but I guess maybe they just have the most, maybe the most money. I don't know. But that was short-lived because over here in Eurogamer by Tom Phillips here, Nintendo shares drop following the Nintendo Switch 2 delay reports. So Bloomberg collaborates new 2025 release schedule. This is sort of coming out. Have you heard last week? I covered it. Switch 2 not coming out in 2024, which, as expected, would drop the price, drop the stock price as people say, oh, they're not coming out with the new system. Well, the future isn't looking as good for Nintendo. It's still bright, but missing that Q4, Switch 2 could have been like a huge, huge seller that Christmas. And I don't think they're going to have any competition for the new console market. So definitely a big hit for Nintendo, but nothing they can't recover from. I'm sure it's going to be coming out probably maybe around summer or early spring with their new system. And hopefully they'll kind of get the glitches out and be ready for like a strong 2025 Q4 selling season. That would be my hope, where like they kind of sell a lot of them. That initial release, a lot of mega fans try and get it early. Then that's when you deal with all the supply issues and the scalping. And then by Q4, they can have that supply pumped up, and actually have stuff available to sell for 2025 Christmas. But even that, they're not the only ones. Actually, I think this is kind of more just everywhere. The sort of money from the COVID era has dried up, and 2023 was not looking as good as 2022. Obviously, certain things are down, and Sony loses $10 billion stock value for analysis. The problem is a PlayStation. I think I did mention that last week, where the profit margins of Sony aren't that good, and that's one of the reasons why the PlayStation, they're looking to release games on other systems like PC. And this was kind of an interesting peak concurrent. Let's see if I can bring this up. I did want to talk about this. This was sort of a thing kind of circulating early in the week, where player engagement tracker, Helldivers 2, has been huge, but mostly coming from PC on the daily active players, respective platforms. 1 in 4 of the Steam players are now playing Helldivers 2, while fewer than 1 in 20 are playing on the PS5. Interesting. And this was kind of goes in.
PlayStation will remain our core product. We will expand our gaming experiences to PC, mobile, and cloud. Why PlayStation will remain our core product?
So, talking about expanding to PC and the cloud, though this was actually apparently kind of false information as far as the numbers on PC. That would Helldivers, doing so on the PC would definitely kind of confirm that Sony made the right move. But this is from Game Industry Confirms. Helldivers 2 CEO said that it was a very close split between PS5 and PC. So this isn't the... it's early days, but it looks like PlayStation's new live service strategy has delivered a real hit. At the first time of asking, the remarkable thing about Helldivers 2 is that across European sales increased nearly 40% from its first week to its second, a rare feat. So there was definitely like a game that took off because of word of mouth. Across Europe, Helldivers was comfortably the best-selling game in the last week, selling almost 2.5 times second place, which was Skull and Bones. Ouch. Skull and Bones, a $70 live service game. Helldivers being the $40 live service game. Mario vs. Donkey Kong managed number 4. No digital data from Nintendo. So Helldivers did slightly better on PC, but only slightly. So it might actually be a closer split than originally thought, but Helldivers 2 doing incredibly well. And if you look at this, despite some server issues, Florida gets Power World, or has proven that the audience for gaming is bigger than ever when you build a great game. They've actually seemed like this was later. I think this is February 19th. Some people are saying they've increased their server capacity to over 750,000. So this could be even more. 400,000. That it's still going up, which is crazy. Gives an update on the current state of capacity, and people were talking about, they continue with the issues with the server, and it's still having server issues. As the number one most concurrent players on Steam, not all time, but for today, surpassing even Counter-Strike 2 at 455,000 players. And then, for comparison, the most amount of concurrent players on Steam for Helldivers 1 was 6,700. 6,700 players. That's insane. And then you look at this. And this is talking about how, massive shout out to Arrowhead GS backend engineers for people 5xing the max of what it was designed for. This is a massive feat. It's like turning the Vespa to compete in F1. Consodi devs send help. They're being really supportive. The trick, and then he talks about taking on engineers here. And I believe he also talks, let's see. And it kind of talks about how it's not just buying more servers. The game itself has issues, or the code itself has issues with scale. Not even the wildest dreams, making a game that maxed out at 6,700. Would they imagine that it could be almost 1 million players? I think it might even hit 1 million at one point, but who knows? As they expanded their capacity most recently to 700,000 players, which is insane. But I'm looking at this, and even, this is actually, hey, Jack, how's it going? This is actually a really interesting story as people kind of look into the success of Helldivers. It was built on an archaic engine that you can't even access anymore. They actually built this, this is by 80 level, by Theodore Mackenzie. And this just talks about how Arrowhead built it on the original game's engine. I don't know if they have a thing of they don't have a screenshot. The original Helldivers was a top-down game, and they actually built it on that game. They're familiar with the engine, but unfortunately, the Autodesk Stingray engine actually stopped. Let's see, it mentions it. I believe in 2018, they stopped support for it. Let's see, on the surface, it seemed like a good idea to leverage the same software of both the original game and its sequel. But the thing you need to know is that Autodesk Stingray is that it has been discontinued since 2018. So this didn't go too well. Currently, it has not received an update in the past 6 years and has officially declared dead by its developers. So basically, we halfway through it, they've already started making the game, designing it, and then, we're going to stop support for it in 2018. Of course, this is a long time. I think it started development in 2015. It's been developed. Helldivers been developed for a long time. Well, by this point, they were so far in it, they just decided to keep working with it and kind of do their own tweaks on it. The situation occurs the fact that even discontinued software can be utilized to create something extraordinary. To create something extraordinary, Arrowhead did. In less than 2 weeks, Helldivers 2 has astounded hundreds of thousands of players, swiftly becoming this year's second gaming sensation, joining Power World in the list of top contenders for Game of the Year 2004. Then it goes on to talk about it breaking records, but really crazy that they had to end up developing this on a dead engine because they were like halfway through development and decided just to keep going with it. obviously, the game is really awesome. I think it has some really good graphics, and the gameplay itself is fantastic. But they also had some issues where players were staying logged on. They had to keep fighting the servers, keep trying to fight to get space and increase the server capacity. One of these was players were staying logged on, so they didn't have to go back into queue, and this was clogging servers. So they're like, we need to have an AFK timer, and this is by Harvey Randell, a PC gamer, but we're not going to go into it. This is where he's talking about need for more servers, that they can't just buy more servers. You can't go down to the server store and buy more. But what they eventually did do is they released a support incoming. This is an issue of patch for PC, PS5, and PC to address players AFKing, stability, and crashes. So they end up creating a timer, which I actually thought this was kind of aggressive. But if you can see here, let's see where they mention it. They implemented a functionality that will kick players who remain idle for 15 minutes back to the title screen. So I thought this was a little aggressive. 15 minutes is a lot, especially if you have to wait in like queue for your friend to get on. But seems to be, I guess that's just how much demand there is for their servers right now. Maybe a good idea where they can make it really aggressive and then sort of dial it back as demand wanes. But they ended up doing that, and honestly, so far, the queue has been removed. They still have, and I think he managed to say it here, we managed to get through the first Friday without server load issues. How was the experience for all? Friday, it actually wasn't bad. Saturday, though, not good. And then this mentions that Sony engineers are being drafted in the Helldivers 2 war effort, as by Harvey Randell of PC Gamers again. So Sony is actually kind of sending over people to help them out. But obviously it's kind of hard to get people kind of used to the engine. You kind of have to learn the ins and outs of it before you can actually start helping people out with the code. And then it was also one of the things that he was kind of getting praised for from players was saying stuff like this. If you have no cash, get it later. Well, we made the game really fun. It's not worth waiting until the servers can support the capacity. I mean, as CEO, I, of course, want the game to be as profitable as possible. But if you spend your last dollars and got second server queue, I'd be heartbroken. And the praise he was getting for saying crap like this was annoying to me, because when I look at him, like, what did you do, though? Like, you haven't paused sale of the game. You haven't paused advertising of the game. You haven't done anything to stop people from buying the game. So, kind of like a tough decision that would help alleviate some of the queue problems. He still keeps selling people a broken product. And, like, at this time, it was broken. Like, you couldn't get on and barely play. You had to be in queue for, like, half an hour. He's got no problem, still selling people the game. And all he's doing is saying, oh, if you bought it, your last little money, like you're poor, and your last little coin, in the collection box here for Helldivers, he'd be heartbroken. He's making a ton of money right now. The game's super successful, and he has no plans of not selling you a broken game. So the idea that people were praising him for this was crazy to me. I hate it when people just like say the right thing, but I don't actually do the right thing, and then people actually buy it. Like, oh wow, WW pedestal. Not really, but they've slowly. I was kind of wondering, especially going the weekend, is he actually going to pull it off? Because Helldivers has been in this sort of war for server capacity, and I was kind of like going into this weekend, like the last weekend was a disaster. I'm wondering, like, really, is he going to be able to pull this off? Are they going to be able to pull it off by having a weekend that doesn't have massive issues? And there were still lots of issues with connections. That was apparent, very apparent. But really wasn't as bad. It was still somewhat playable. It kind of resolved itself a little later. Was still able to get some games without a queue, and despite like some random bugs, I still had fun. It was still fun to play it. But so it looks like they might be able to pull it off and actually kind of keep the game up while slowly fighting the server capacity and getting to a workable game, which it's kind of like almost there, but not quite there. So it's almost hard to recommend it because there's a very good chance that you'll have a bunch of issues when you start playing it. And like if you haven't gotten it, like that first impression's bad, then it's pretty easy for people to just drop it and want to refund it. So again, it kind of makes it a hard sale for me to recommend to people right now. But the game itself is very good. It's just sadly the servers that aren't working right now. That live service element is having some issues. Let's see. I think I'm going to skip this article. This is just about reinforcement from PC Gamer. Again, Harvey Randall. I guess he's the only writer there. Kind of talking about how the reinforcement issue fixes, something with looter shooters, which I think is really good. It kind of gives you the horde shooter, but dying isn't so big, and there's a lot of like cool, kind of like some funny friendly fire incidents. Some of it's annoying, but the fact that death isn't so bad kind of allows you to get through it. You can laugh it off, as opposed to other games that kind of go like that, like Last of Us, where dying really sucks. But this is kind of the last topic I'll kind of go into. And this is by the Red Dragon, kind of talking about shame on every fraud who tried to shame Helldivers 2 for microtransactions and lies and pay-to-win lies. I don't think I've ever played a game that made it easy to earn everything. Just realized I could afford a premium war bond and wasn't even trying. Still have enough to buy stuff from the Superstore if I want, because super credits are the premium war bond also. So there was a big discussion over, like, is it pay to win? And hardliners are kind of saying, well, because they sell stuff behind a paywall, they sell, stuff that you can only get through the use of super credits, that it is pay to win. But I wanted to go over that, and I'll actually go into the game to do it. Let's go. Give me 1 second. I'll take a drink of water. We got this game started up. Now, this is the autistic people. I got like super autistic argument. Like, if you have stuff locked behind a paywall, then it is absolutely pay to win. The thing about Helldivers is that you can earn its premium currency through playing the game. Let's go into Helldivers here. We'll actually go into the game. Rear footage of me playing. Let me turn this down here. I'm going to turn the computer sounds down. And we'll go in social options. We'll make this friends only right now so people don't join. And then we'll look in the game itself. So right here you have, let's see, we'll go to our requisition. So this is the store, which actually, to point out, you'll notice that it's not a banner. You'll notice there's no like flashing lights and stuff telling you, hey, look, new stuff. Why don't you buy it? So this is very nice hood right here. That's not trying to force you into buying anything. And then you kind of have your banner here. This is the acquisition center. This is where you spend war bonds. And the skull right here. Actually, you can't see this on my screen. Let me see if I can remove the... let's remove the border here. There we go. On the top right, you see the war bonds thing. It shows that. And this is where you spend this medals, which you get from the game. They're totally... The medals are only by playing. You can't buy medals. And this is what you spend for here, and then you have to work down several pages. This is kind of like the season pass that you get to unlock new stuff, like guns. You can actually unlock super credits, 50 super credits, in exchange for medals, and you can be able to do that down the line here. I've kind of worked pretty far down it. And then this is kind of the main way you can spend money is the Steel Veterans. Helldivers 2 Steel Veterans. Premium War Bonds. You need to buy that if you look at the bottom right for 1,000 super credits. Right now I have 760 super credits. That's the blue thing over here. And this is the premium currency. I haven't spent a single dollar on this game so far. So you have, I almost have enough to unlock it. I've actually purchased, and I've purchased sort of multiple things in the superstore, which is right here. It's a rotating store. Refreshes, I guess, every 24 hours or maybe more. And you can buy like these sort of costumes. And some of them have properties. If you look here, this has extra padding. This says fortified, which reduces recoil. None of these things are unique. You can get armors that have these same properties in the premium war bonds and like the regular war bonds. So there's nothing exclusive besides the look, the cosmetic of it. And if you go into the premium war bonds, there are exclusive weapons like this Liberator, which has explosives. You have the Senator, which is like a cool looking pistol. Some incendiary stuff. There's only 3 pages. And then this Jar 5 Dominator. So far, looking at the meta, none of these weapons are super good. Or, you know, they're not meta weapons. Breaker, Incendiary. Good. Blech. Hey, how's it going, JBB? None of these things are that good. Or certainly none of them are meta. They're kind of interesting because they have like maybe explosive properties on it. Our light armor penetrating explosives. This is incendiary. This is medium armor penetration, apparently, which you'd think that would be really good, but I haven't seen anybody talk about using this gun in any sort of meta discussions. So the premium war bonds, Steel Veterans, is again, you could earn it by simply playing the game or using super credits or buying super credits. But even if you look at the screen, usually when you have like a store like this, there'll be, especially coming from phone games, there'll be like, oh, here's a first time bonus for buying it. And this, you know, if you look at the little things, you got 150. Just almost like, you know, a cent. And then if you get to like 1,000, so the exchange is like each super credit is like a cent essentially. So 1,000 super credits is $10. And then you get a little bit of a bonus for going to $20. Well, this is the only thing you can buy is the $19.99. Instead of like most phone games, like it goes up to like 100 or 200, and you get a big additional bonus for going that high. And usually there's like a first time buying bonus associated with this stuff. So this is definitely a different beast that I'm used to from like free to play phone games. It doesn't seem to be encouraging you to actually spend money, which a lot of these first time bonuses do. Or like there'll be a special pack when you first join, like, oh, like it gives you a lot of like premium stuff, like, oh, hey, beginner's pack, you know, and then it has a lot of this like really nice deal on it to kind of encourage you to spend money, kind of get you to just do it once, hoping that once you do it once, then, well, you'll do it again. They've kind of worked that out, knowing what you need to do to get people to spend. Again, none of this stuff is, this like looks cool. I like the fortified way it looks, but definitely not something. And right now, Armored's actually bugged, so that's even worse. It's even worse than it looks. But if you look at this, like, is it pay to win? Like, I can't come up with an argument that it would be pay to win. Honestly, I mean, people will say that by having a premium war bonds, that's kind of locked behind a premium currency, and having this stuff, like, if you really want these guns, then you would have to spend, $10 and then unlock it through playing the game. None of these seem that good, honestly. None of these weapons seem that good. They didn't, try to make it so you'd want to spend money, but they do have the option to do so. So technically, you can make an argument that it's pay to win, but in reality, I think it's probably, at least in my experience, it's one of the sort of least aggressive monetizations that I've seen in a game. Of course, the game itself is only $40. And again, this stuff, maybe that'll change down the line. I don't know. But starting out, this is a very weak way to try and get people's money. So I think the only people buying it are people that have the expendable cash, maybe really like the game and want to support it, or just have zero control or patience. That'll immediately like, oh, I need this. Whoa, this gun has explosives. I gotta buy it. The idea that it's pay to win, I think, is just ridiculous. That's my opinion on it. So that is it, guys. Let me quit this game. I played it enough yesterday. I'll probably play it again today. But is it pay to win? My conclusion is no. I don't think so. Then a few cool things to sort of end us off. Oh, here, let me put this back. Put my borders back on so you can't see all my stuff. My secret tabs that sort of unsavory stuff. Power World finally hitting 2.5 million. Translate this post. 15 million on Steam, 10 million on Xbox. So even on this, you look at the split, and it's not that big, to be honest. Xbox doing really well. So if you look at Helldivers, you look at Xbox here with Power World, they're doing pretty well with their exclusives right now. So even though Steam, but in both, PC's been bigger. And you'd almost think it's different. It'd be the opposite way, where console games are the most popular because it's more accessible to players. A lot of people have consoles, but right now, PC leading the way, and it's kind of not easy to, or it's pretty easy to see why a lot of the industry wants to dip its toes in PC as well, to kind of make sure that they're getting the most money possible. Because who would want, if Xbox just got 10 million, it'd still be very successful, but why would you not want that extra 15 million people? Or if you look at Helldivers, which, is like 400,000 on Steam, well, if it's split evenly, then how much is that on PlayStation as well? Is that another like 400,000? Are they getting close to like 1 million players concurrently? That's a huge amount of money. And I still think, even though it's evenly split, PC is leading the way on the Helldivers 2 sales. So this may not be, and it's kind of hard to get the accurate, let me see what the tab. Kind of hard to get the accurate numbers on console sometimes, but the fact that this is so high kind of shows you just the power of the PC here for sales. And then this is the last article I'll kind of go into. I thought I said that last time. Speaking of Power World, this is from Kotaku by Kenneth Shepard. After Power World, Pokemon needs to come out swinging. The next Pokemon Present showcase will set the tone for a series after Power World's success. Which is kind of hard to say because Power World just came out. Obviously, development takes years upon years, so I don't think we'll see a response from Pokemon to Power World anytime soon. But kind of goes on to talk how it's been hanging over in the past few years. And, of course, Power World was very successful. So, is it kind of dethroning it? Is it kind of giving it, a little bit of a black eye? And of course, they mentioned despite its success, it's not a threat to Pokemon. Pokemon's most successful franchise in like the history of franchises. But what do we expect from Pokemon Presents? It's talking about Black and White. That rumor has been circulating. Will we see a new Legends? That's what I'm hoping for. But, a Legends that actually looks decent. I love the sort of format of Legends Arceus. I think it's a good start. I think it can really build on that and really help to create a world like I talked about last time at Saving Pokemon video. If they can really create like a cool world and make it feel like you're part of the world of Pokemon, I think they'll do really well. I mentioned a new Let's Go game might scale back, a little more polished experience, and then I'm not going to continue reading, but yeah, we'll see what happens in Pokemon Presents. Again, I don't think it's going to be a response, but hopefully they've realized by now that they kind of need to turn it around and stop becoming a shovelware company and actually kind of make a game that is a game that's to the quality that you would expect from Nintendo first party. So guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be on if you're in the chat. Jack Napier's in the chat here. Should be on his channel for Post Zero. That's what you call it, right? Post Rule Zero. Oh, Post Zero is what they call it. To talk about media not being made for men. Of course, I'm here to. I'll be on there to talk about video games. Anytime people say, "Hey, come on and talk about video games," and that sounds like a good time to me. So, let me see if I can. Does he have a link to that here? I'll post that in the chat. Post it in the chat here. So I'll be on later today. I believe that's 10 p.m. Central, is what he said. So that'll be in less than an hour now. So it'll be 11 a.m. my time. Or, right, EST. So at the top of the hour, that's what it's going to start. So I'll be there too. And of course, I did reach monetization. So I've just started to apply. Thank you guys for all of that, for the support. The video's been doing really well. Finally reached the watch hours I needed to. So I've just applied to it. Hopefully they don't hear any of Marty's stories and then decide that this channel is not monetizable. Hoping they're just going to kind of briefly look over that and decide, well, this channel's all right. It's fine, and let me be monetized. So look, I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully by next week, maybe I can have super chats. That'd be cool. But thank you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.